Welcome, CFUZ listeners, as we interrupt your regularly scheduled broadcasting for another live broadcast of a Penticton Municipal Election Forum from the Penticton Seniors Drop-In Center. My name is Dave Del Rizzo, and I'm joined by
Nils Finson.
We are board members and volunteers at Peach City Community Radio, and today our joy is to provide this live broadcast from the Penticton Seniors Drop-In Center, which is, I have to say, a relatively full house, and I think all the candidates, perhaps except for one, have joined us here today. Everyone is arrayed in front of the stage and in front of the crowd. Nils, what do you? Well, I should say this forum in particular is put forth by, I believe, a coalition of seniors advocacy groups in Penticton.
Yep.
And the theme of this forum this afternoon is issues relating to senior citizens and how they relate to the government.
Yes, that's what I'm of the same understanding. It's actually interesting you mentioned the attendance right now. I just looked out the crowd. It's almost standing room only, and the door's not even shut yet. We still got people coming in.
Yeah, I was hoping maybe they'll be able to get some more chairs out for folks who are standing in the back. Tonight. I keep saying tonight, but it's an afternoon forum today. This afternoon's forum will be hosted by Bob Nicholson, who is a friend of Peach City Radio, former broadcaster and former volunteer at Peach City Radio as well. And I believe the format will be very similar if you tuned in for the broadcast of the Penticton Chamber of Commerce forum a week ago, where all the candidates will be posed a random question. There will be a short break, and then they will be posed another question after that.
Yeah, that format actually seemed to work quite well. I had a lot of questions from my wife afterwards. Oh, what did this person say? I'm like, did you know it's online? We recorded it.
That's right. For those listening, clearly if you're listening and you're able to listen live on CFUZ 92.9 FM here in Penticton, we welcome you to the broadcast. You may also be listening online at cfuz.ca. Either way, thanks for joining us. And you can tell your friends who are unable to be here in person or unable to listen live that they can, in the coming days, we will provide the audio, provide a link to the audio on our website, cfuz.ca, where people can listen on demand to the audio that we're recording at this moment.
You got it. Yeah, it's definitely, and not everybody can make a 1 p.m. on a Monday event, but the fact that we're able to provide it as a recorded session is wonderful.
And we're very lucky, Nils and I are, to be able to take time away from work to come here and facilitate this, because we both think very much that it's very important that all the citizens who are voting in this upcoming municipal election on October 15th are as informed as possible about all the issues, but specifically about the issues that affect them in order to educate their vote and how they vote on the 15th.
Yeah, I fully agree. We are very much on the same page here.
Well, of course we are.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're just sounds like we're just about to get started.
The people are just sort of migrating to their positions, and I think the lights have already been dimmed a few times to help usher people into the room. I see Bob reaching for his microphone, and I'm assuming we're going to start momentarily here. I just want to say that Peach City Radio relies on donations from the public to support itself. And if you think this service is a valuable thing for the community and it's helped you out, please consider a donation. You can head to our webpage, cfuz.ca, and you can leave a donation online via the link in the top right side of the page. And as I said, we'll do our best to get this recording made available to anyone who has access to the internet very shortly in the days following this. And I think we are planning to rebroadcast all of the forums that we record. In fact, I should actually mention that we will be attending the Naramata Forum for RDOS chair of Area D, I believe it is. Is it Area D in Naramata?
Let's go with Area D.
I'm not sure. Don't go quote me on that one. But the area representative for RDOS, we will be conducting that forum tonight live on the air. We'll breaking into programming again. I think that starts at 7 p.m. and it will run until 8:45. And then again on Wednesday, October 5th, we'll be broadcasting from the Lakeside Resort, where the Home Builders Association is holding a forum there in the evening. Oh, sorry, excuse me. It's Naramata is Area E. Apologies. Thank you, Nils, for looking that up and clarifying. It's always good to have a second pair of hands during a live broadcast to do such things.
No problem.
It's a beautiful day here today, and it looks like it's really inspired a lot of people to come out, and I think that's really important. I think that it'll be interesting to hear what the candidates have to say. I have to disagree with something you said earlier, Nils. This isn't my favorite format for a forum, because I think that the time allotted, and unfortunately it's due to the fact that there are so many candidates, but I don't think that the time allotted is sufficient to allow the candidates to express their views on a topic. In my opinion, the more savvy candidates will spend a lot more time talking about the issue rather than talking about themselves or introducing themselves. This is my opinion.
I do agree. I did notice that in the last forum that we participated in, is that the first sections of questions. Well, it looks like we're about to.
Okay, let's throw it over to Bob Nicholson and the Penticton Senior Center drop-in forum.
Right on time. And we're hoping to end it right on time, too, because that'll be 2 hours from now. A lot of questions, a lot of answers between now and then. My name is Bob Nicholson. I'm going to be your moderator for the forum today. I used to be a journalist, reporter, anchor for CBC Radio and Television about 1,000 years ago. And now I'm just a guy on Blue Coat. But I'm happy to be here, and I want to start the proceedings with a few thank yous. Thanks to all of you, huge crowd, standing room only for this. Thank you all for coming out and taking part. I want to thank the candidates, not only for coming today, but for putting their names forward and participating in the democratic process. And especially, I want to thank a quartet of women who have worked very hard to put this forum together. That means Nancy Evanson with the South Okanagan branch of the National Association of Family Retirees. Mary Fisher with One Sky Community Resources. Elsie Salter with the Seniors Wellness Society. And Mignon Wood and Tina Begg with the Seniors Drop-In Center. As you can tell, those are all organizations that advocate for seniors in various ways in this community. Very valuable work they do. And that's why they organized this forum, to give you a chance to hear how the candidates respond to questions about seniors issues. And they've tried to make these questions about things that council could actually do something about, not, climate change or something like that. Although climate change could be an issue here. We know that at your table you all have this pamphlet. Very, very interesting fun facts about us seniors and our place in Penticton. Did you know that 49% of the population in Penticton is 55 and older? You knew that? Well, I didn't know that. So there's a whole bunch of fun facts here. We are a big cohort, and we do tend to vote in elections. Okay. Clearly, I'm not talking into the microphone. I could hear myself just fine. It sounded good inside my head. So the candidates have all received a copy of this pamphlet along with the questions. If you're not familiar with this building, by the way, many of you will be, the washrooms are out this main door and down the first little hallway. The emergency exits are at the rear and here. I have to say that. And thanks to our hardworking organizers, we're doing something different. As you see up on the screen, we've got this voice recognition software for people like me who are a little bit hard of hearing. So I was going to say, when I started, let's all turn our hearing aids up to 9. We don't really have to, because hopefully it doesn't always work. It doesn't always work right. But it's generally going to be okay. So when I read the question, you will see it printed out up there, and you will hear as the candidates answer the question, their answers will also come out like that. So If you're a little bit hard of hearing, you can do it. We hope. We hope there's no naughty words. Sometimes that actually happens. And that's why all the candidates and I are down here on the floor, so that you can see that screen there. I also want to thank the volunteers at CFUZ, CFUZ, the community radio station. They are broadcasting this forum live, and I'm told it will also be available on the CFUZ website archive if you want to listen to it again, or there was a part of it that you particularly want to sing along with. So, please, a big round of applause for that. You guys are taking time off from work to do this for us. They would appreciate donations. The community radio station is a complete nonprofit, entirely run by volunteers. So we have a little box here. When you read, if you have a movie that you'd like to read to help the community radio cause, it's a wonderful outfit. They do a lot of good work. So thanks again to them for coming on and broadcasting this. Let me quickly, I've got a huge speech here. I'm probably going to eat up the whole time just explaining how it works. So let me get into that explanation. The organizers have prepared 21 questions. They were all given to the candidates a week ago. So they know the questions, but what they don't know is which ones they will be asked. But to do that, I have all the names in this basket, and I'm going to pull out the names at random. When I pull the first name, I will ask the first question on the list. That's round one. In round one, the candidates have 2 minutes to not only introduce themselves, but to answer the question that I pose. So each candidate, in the long run, will answer 2 questions, because we'll have 2 rounds of this. Okay. How will we do this? I said they have 2 minutes for the first go-round. We have timekeepers. Mignon Wood and Tina Beck. Mignon is a world-class timer. She has a master's degree in timing. She travels all over the world, timing everything. So what happens is she starts the stopwatch when the candidate starts to speak. When they are 20 seconds away from the end of their allotted time, Tina will hold up a yellow card. That means they've got 20 seconds left. When time is up, Tina will hold up the red card. If they keep talking, madly, go rogue, she will ring the cowbell. Heavy consequences. What else do I need to tell you? Oh yeah, one new wrinkle here that we're trying out, a brilliant idea. Each of the candidates has 3 little green cards. If they hold up a green card, they can extend their speaking time by 30 seconds. So they can use that to, if they wanted to respond to something another candidate said, they could hold it up and I would recognize them when the previous candidate finishes, or they can just use it to extend their speaking time by 30 seconds, or if they hold up 2, they can take an extra minute. So they can use those, but they only get 3. They can only use 2, a maximum of 2 to extend. But that's just a new technological wrinkle that we put in cards. Okay. I said this before, but to respect the candidate's time and yours, we really want to wrap this up by 3 o'clock. Now, there may be questions that you have that we don't ask. If you have questions for the candidates, you can write them down on a slip of paper. We have a basket in the back of the hall with some slips of paper. You can write your questions on there, and we will give those to the media, to the Herald, to the Western, to Global News if they want them, and they may ask those questions of the candidates. And maybe if some of these candidates have time afterward, you might want to mix it and mingle. They don't have to all rush off. So that's it. Any questions? We all understand how it works? I hope I do. Okay. So having said all that, oh yeah, one more thing. If you're thirsty, we have water available on the table over on my left, over on that side of the hall. Glasses and pitchers, white tablecloth. The seniors drop and center of the first class white tablecloth kind of place. Okay, I said 20 seconds. All right, let's start. Let's begin. I'm going to pull a name. from the hat, from the basket. And this person gets to go up to the microphone at the podium and answer my first question. Amelia Volpe. So, Amelia, your question is a long one. Along with available and accessible washrooms, the World Health Organization's recommendation for an age-friendly community includes snow removal that is prompt and considerate of seniors, accessible benches on sidewalks, paths, or trails spaced at regular intervals, as well as protection from rain and sun for pedestrians. How would you make this a reality? That's a lot. Okay?
Number 9.
So
Sorry.
that's the first question. We shuffled them up.
Oh, okay. Got it. Thank you. All right. I won't take up too much time. I'll start with my introduction. Good afternoon, and thank you to the Seniors Wellness Center, One Sky, the National Association of Retirees, and the Penticton Seniors Drop-In Center for hosting this important event. My name is Amelia Boltby, and I'm hoping to be one of Penticton's next city councillors. I grew up in Penticton, as did 3 generations of my family. I moved away to get an education, which I did at UBC, where I got a degree in political science and then a law degree. I'm currently a practicing lawyer, and I'm running for city council now for the same reasons I did in the by-election, which are crime and housing. Both housing and crime affect senior citizens just as much, if not more, than it affects the average citizens. Senior issues that I encounter as a practicing lawyer include elder abuse, and the British Columbia Seniors Advocate reported in 2021 that there was a 54% increase in reports of elder abuse over the last 5 years, so that is also an issue that I would address as your city councillor. And as to question number 9, as city councillor, I would work closely with council staff and the recommendations of our seniors to ensure that our public spaces are designed and maintained with seniors in mind. Our city planners should always have at the forefront of their mind when designing public infrastructure that a huge segment of our population has mobility concerns, and all public areas should be designed to keep public spaces safe and accessible and reduce the risk of falling, which is another major concern for seniors. This includes lowering streetscapes and curbs, alignment, crossing, improved sidewalk and trails, and making sure that public washrooms are clean and usable all year round. Thank you very much.
Our next candidate will be Katie Robinson. And Katie, your question is, number 4, if you are elected, how will you encourage the city staff and your colleagues on council to carry out Penticton's age-friendly action plan? If you're on council, what have you already done to encourage that? That was question number 4.
Thanks very much, Bob. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen and candidates. My name is Katie Robinson, for those of you who don't know me. I'm an experienced businesswoman with both a financial and a management background. I moved my family here in 1985 to work as a financial planner with Investors Group that I spent 5 years doing until I entered politics. I've had the privilege of representing Penticton as a city councillor now for over 14 years, not consecutively. I've actually retired 3 times, and I guess I haven't learned how to keep my mouth shut yet, so here I am again. I have, however, represented Penticton with integrity, with dedication and commitment. And you have that further commitment that I will continue to do so on your behalf. I've also served as a director on the RDOS, the Regional District of Okanagan-Similkameen, for 9 years, and was a director on both the Board of Health and the Regional Hospital Board trustee for 6 years. I have actually walked the talk, and I have a proven record of sound decision-making. The safety of our community is now and will continue to be my main objective in the next term of office. Now, to the actual question, I've been a fierce advocate for seniors for well over 30 plus years now. I am currently the liaison to this wonderful facility, the Seniors Drop-In Center, and I was also on the council that actually built this building. We saw a need in the community, and we proceeded to make sure that it became a reality. And I'd like very much to continue doing the work that I've been doing for 30 years on your behalf again. Thank you.
Next candidate is James Miller. And James, your question is, how will you become well-informed about the many complexities associated with the housing crisis, particularly in light of the low income of many seniors? That's question number 11 on your list.
Hi, my name is James Miller, and I voted against Stage 2 of the bike lanes. And my total expenses for 2021 were $63, which could be among the lowest in the entire province of BC. So I do guard the public's money as if it was my own. I've been managing editor of the Penticton Herald for 14 years. I'm presently on a 5-week leave of absence in fairness to my fellow candidates, as well as my colleagues, who I'm sure are probably glad not to have to see me every morning. In 2021, thank you, everybody, for your belief in me. Randomly, I put my name in for the by-election, and we did really well, and thanks to a lot of you who did support me. Thank you so much. And I think in the 14, 15 months I've been on council, I've proven that I'm not a novelty candidate. Yes, I did have a very famous last name, but I think I've shown that I listen to people, I meet with people. I've attended more public events, I think, than anybody except for our mayor. I would like to publicly acknowledge, take 15 seconds, a very dear friend of mine and a colleague, Councillor Judy Sentes, is at the back of the room. 14 years of dedicated services to our community. Thank you, Judy. Thank you for your mentorship. Thank you for being a friend to the community. And I'll just simply answer, what am I aware of? Well, as a working journalist, I'm really fortunate because that's what I do for a living. Now, right now, I have some restrictions as to what I write, but certainly prior to June 2021, I've done countless columns, editorials, stories, interviewed people like you. I'm fully aware of the situation. I myself have aging parents. My 2 minutes is up. My name is Miller, and please stick with me for another 4 years. I love you all.
Okay, we're going to respond to a green card from Amelia Boltby.
Thank you, everyone. Responding, that was a great answer from Councillor Miller, but I also just wanted to add that in researching and preparing for this debate, it became obvious to me that there's a huge amount of information out there, and that what we should be doing is looking to other municipalities for best practices and researching and taking that back to Penticton. As a lawyer, I'm a very good researcher, so I feel this would be an important role that I could fill at City Council. Thank you.
Our next speaker will be Owen Hayward. And Owen, your question will be number 17 on your list. One of the key features of an age-friendly community is that public transportation is accessible, affordable, and convenient. How would you ensure this?
Good afternoon, and thank you one and all. Have you had enough of your tax dollars being wasted on lawyers' fees, consultant fees, and penalties to developers? Enough of councils from the business and development community who say nice things but seem not to make decisions that benefit most of us? I have. If you keep electing the same type of people, you will keep getting the same result. I'm a married father of 3 young adults establishing careers in tourism, nursing, and trades. I am semi-retired from a career as a curling ice maker, preceded by work in trades, transportation, and education. I have worked blue collar, white collar, union, non-union, and being self-employed. I have been a worker, supervisor, boss, and manager. I am a trade school and university graduate. I have lived in all Western provinces and worked on 4 continents. I have followed local issues for 12 years. Pentictonites deserve better local governance. Beyond our own residence, neither my wife nor myself own any property or business investments. We are not connected to realty, developers, or special interest groups. We are both everyday citizens, and that is who I will represent, with common sense and financial prudence. Choose me as your mayor, and as a community, we will attack the mental health, opioid, homeless crisis and stop waiting for the province to help. We will become a model for other BC communities. Once the homeless are housed and have supports, crime will naturally lessen, and our firefighters and police will be better able to perform their core functions. I will change downtown parking to parking by donation. I will convince BC Transit to allow youth, students, and seniors to ride for free and get them to provide service to Kelowna for medical appointments. I will end non-residents owning or renting housing to operate Airbnb, VRBO businesses in residential areas. Residential areas are for residents. Hotels and motels are for our guests. I will keep all of our parks. My next move is to represent all Pentictonites, use the OCP, zoning, incentives, and initiatives to support families, seniors, small business, volunteers, and nonprofits fairly and in a balanced, financially prudent manner. I will do everything I can to make Penticton feel safe for all of us. My name's Owen Hayward. I'm a word-of-mouth candidate. Spread the word.
Okay, we've got another green card. You want to respond to the previous speaker? Okay.
Good, yeah. Thanks, Owen. My name is Jason Ryan. You'll get to know a little bit more about me in a second here. I just wanted to touch on that question. One of the key features, as you can see up there. Well, the first thing is consistent community engagement. Seniors through regular meetings. A lot of you guys I know can't get on social media or some of the other forms to be more aware. So what we'd look to do is have more of these type of meetings where we can come face to face. Looking at future development for senior housing and placement will be key. Consider providing an annual province-wide bus pass for all seniors that includes the handy darts. And then also a free pass that could be based on a sliding scale or a fee for a pass on a sliding scale matched to your income. Thanks, guys.
Our next speaker will be Larry Schwarzenberger. And Larry, your question will be, what issue struck you most profoundly from the information in that document that you were given about a week ago? What struck you most profoundly in that document and why? And as a mayor or councillor, how would you try to address it?
Thank you very much. My name is Larry Schwarzenberger. I came to the South Okanagan 32 years ago, living in Oliver, and for the last 2.5 years in Penticton. For the last 9 years, I've been a councillor for the town of Oliver, and I have 3 children and 7 grandchildren in the area still. The issue that struck me most profoundly in the brochure was that the last subsidized affordable senior housing project in Penticton opened in 2011, 11 years ago. That is unbelievable to me that we haven't been able to do any affordable housing for seniors in the last 11 years. I think possibly with partial DCC credits and lobbying the provincial government. We need to get more subsidized seniors housing. My parents went into assisted living in Calgary, and they were in a project that took 70% of their income, period. And that covered everything: food, lodging, entertainment. I think and they thrived in that environment because they could have the last 30% for their own uses. But I think again, lobbying the provincial government and partial DCC credits would help get more affordable seniors housing in Penticton. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker is Frank Rieger. Was there a green card? Oh, I'm sorry. I saw you kind of wink at me, but I didn't see the card. Okay, it's Katie O'Kell. Oh, and you're holding up one too. She got here first, though.
Was that somebody left it?
Somebody left, yeah, he left his card.
You called me, but...
I did. I'm sorry. I didn't see that she had a green card up. Stand by, Frank.
Larry, I thought you were just leaving me an extra green card gift. It was so thoughtful.
I thought you were just being nice. You know, kind of.
My name is Katie O'Kell. I'll tell you a little bit more about me when it's my turn to properly talk, but this question here really touched me. As a scientist, I'm really big on statistics, so a lot of what's in this report was hard to digest. The thing that struck me most profoundly was that the median income level for our seniors is less than the average cost of a single-bedroom retirement residence. I saw this a lot when I also did your taxes downtown at H&R Block for 5 years, and I know what your finances look like. This means our average senior cannot afford to rent even if their entire income is going towards it, before you account for food, taxes, or anything else. Affordable housing is something that's very important to me. I'll tell you more about it later.
Okay, thank you. Now, Frank, it really is your turn. Okay, so your question will be number 8 on your list. Given the complexity of housing needs and the healthcare trend that involves supporting people at home versus building new care facilities, how can the city encourage the construction of housing that is especially designed to allow people to safely age in place?
Thank you for that question. And yeah, I'll start with introduction. First, pleased to be here and actually to see just so many people here interested in this election. That's really good for Penticton. I've been in Penticton for about 35 years and started here working with the school district in Penticton. Prior to that, I worked in 2 other school districts and 2 municipal governments. So starting a career, I obtained a professional accounting degree and worked about 35 years in both municipal and school district, all in the financial and administration areas. Within I guess, my goals for last year council, I'm a first-time councillor in Penticton, and my goals that I set back in 2018 were I wanted to increase what I referred to as financial fairness. I felt there was a number of areas in our city where particularly residential properties were being taxed or charged disproportionately to what the business community was. I've put forward some initiatives within the current council that actually have had some success with that, changing the sharing ratio between business and residential, which ultimately saves the residential, and also in some development cost charge and other discount practices in the municipality, help to reduce that. All of that, of course, only happens when you can obtain the support of at least the majority of council. Nothing can be done by a councillor without moving forward with that. So to go to the question, certainly the question, I assume this specially designed house will allow people to safely age in place, would be intended to rent or to purchase. To build such a house would require that significant monies would have to come really from government if it's government service. Thank you.
And we have, before we move on, we've got another green card. Yes, sir. 2 green cards.
This thing tighten? Ladies and gentlemen, I'll introduce myself formally again, as others have said, as soon as my turn comes up. I wanted to rebut what Frank was referring to. You know, in 2014, the CFIB approached then Mayor Gary Litke and said your tax proportions based, burden on your businesses is extreme. And so, accordingly, they repealed it a bit. What is the constant persistence in this community to constantly bludgeon those who create jobs in the community? There's a misconception that business is thriving in this community. We learn to live on chicken and rice without the chicken. That's the nature of business in Penticton. Thank you very much.
And another green card from Amelia Boltby.
Thank you very much. My green card is not in response to Mr. Hall, it's in response to Councillor Rieger. I think aging in place is one of the most important issues that the next council will face. It's not only a matter of dignity for our seniors in the community, but it's also good public policy to reduce the burden on hospitals. There are many grants out there available for homeowners to apply, but it's a very difficult process to navigate, and the Age-Friendly Action Plan recommends that the city develop a local program to increase uptake for those supports, so that's something I would do. Thank you very much.
Any other green cards before we move on? Our next speaker will be Shannon Stewart. And Shannon, your question, while you're making your way to the podium, is what do you think is the biggest misconception about seniors, and what would you do, if you're elected, to help change this misconception?
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name's Shannon Stewart, running for a position on your city council. I've lived and worked in Penticton for over 30 years, raised my 3 sons here. One of my children has a business downtown. He's a massage therapist and opened a clinic in the old Terwilligers building. I'm a healthcare social worker and also a designated responder, which is the official responsibility associated with my profession. In order to respond to complaints or concerns of, thank you so much, senior abuse. And so we are charged with the responsibility of investigating and assessing the risks to seniors. And definitely there's been an increase in reports and investigations. I think possibly not because there's an increase in prevalence, but likely because there's an increase in response. So we have a well-dedicated social work team working through Interior Health that's charged with the responsibility of responding to that. I spent the last couple of years working during the pandemic from home, supporting patients that are patients of either Fairview or White Clinic, and helping support. So if you've ever had a phone conversation with a social worker, that likely may have been me. As a result of that, I think I'm probably more familiar than most with the day-to-day challenges facing our senior population, our aging population. In addition, I relocated my mom from Alberta in 2011, and thinking that I had the inside track on some of the information, the resources, the knowledge, had challenges being able to address the concerns and guide her in a helpful way. I'm going to use somebody else's green card. In response to the question, I think one of the biggest misconceptions in our society is that seniors choose to isolate, and I think there's a disconnect between our younger populations and our older populations. I would really appreciate the opportunity to be able to bridge that gap more successfully, similar to a model used in First Nations communities where elders are recognized as people who hold the history and hold the wisdom and can act to successfully guide our young people. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Ryan Graham. And Ryan, your question is, what did you do to inform yourself about seniors' issues for this election?
Good afternoon. My name is Ryan Graham. I had the distinct pleasure growing up in this beautiful community. I have two sons, Dominic, who's 20 and a chef at Salty's, and my son Jensen, 10, that goes to Columbia School. I graduated in 2004, the first grad class of Princess Margaret, under the leadership of a dear friend of mine, the late Bruce Johnson. I absolutely love my community. That's why I've stayed here, that's why my business is here, and that's why I've invested in this community. I've sat as the most recent president of the DPA, dealing with some fundamental things and some issues that we needed some true leadership behind. To the question, I've sat down and had many conversations with many organizations, from presidents to executive directors. In those conversations, I learned very quickly that a lot of us hadn't been heard and that we had some questions that were never answered. Now, to the question being, our most senior demographic in this community is under siege to the fact that we have forgotten about you. I'm a 36-year-old guy that prides himself on being very community-orientated, and so for me, it is fundamentally important that I bridge that gap, not only for our seniors, but our youth, and find that balance. So what I did is I listened. I had conversations. Out of those conversations, I met some incredible leaders. I am now tasked with some incredible information, and with that information, I've moved forward, and I am now the newly appointed Director of Fundraising for the Penticton Drop-In Senior Center. Thank you. When I sat down and listened to the concerns and the budgeting and the lack of funding, while this community holds this great organization up on this pedestal, it became clear that they had forgotten about them. So for me, it's time to bridge that gap. I'm gonna fire one of these down. We need to be heard. We need balance. We need to move forward as a community. I am not a politician. I'm just a guy that has grown up here. I'm just the guy that's held the door for you at the bank. I'm just the guy that runs a small business. But I can tell you in my time as president of the DPA, I learned how this city works. And I can guarantee you this, I will be a voice for all, and I will be a very big buddy to everyone in this room. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker will be Helena Conants. And Helena, your question will be, the BC Seniors Advocate, in her report released in September of 22, just last month, indicated that there was a 78% increase in the use of food banks by BC seniors in the last 5 years. If you're elected, what will you do to address food security for seniors in Penticton? You have 2 minutes.
Thank you so much for that question. Hi, everyone. I'm Helena Conans, and I know this facility very well. I'm probably one of the only candidates here that's actually a member here, although Ryan probably is too now that he's working on the board, so good for you, Ryan. I'm sure that on your way out, everyone here can join right at the desk, because this facility is one of the most important facilities in Penticton. And the reason is, thank you, because it's supporting seniors, and we've got the largest, according to the last census, the largest senior population per capita in almost, I believe, all of Canada. So we need to really support this facility. I've lived and owned a business in and around Penticton for the last 27 years, Conan's Chiropractic on Westminster Avenue. I'm a former city councillor from 2011 to 2018. I got my master's from UBC Okanagan, where I studied housing affordability. I believe that this center is important because of everything it offers and that seniors need. And I was fortunate enough to support the leadership team here last year in putting together a business plan for the next 5 years for this organization. And so they had vision and they worked while there was a lockdown. I really hand it to the board and to the leadership team for putting that business plan together. One of the biggest reasons why this facility is important is because of the isolation that's happened in the last few years because of COVID. We need to make sure everybody's getting out and growing and moving, in aging in motion and socializing. I have green card. Okay, so the question is, how can I help with the cost, address the cost of food? That's really difficult, as you know, for someone in municipal government. But what I can do is I can keep the other costs that I do have control of as a city councillor lower. So I can keep our taxes lower. Did you know that taxes went up higher than in any time in almost 20 years in the last year? Another one. And thank you. 30 seconds more. We need to keep our electrical rates low. When I was volunteering at the soup kitchen, I would see seniors coming in just during the winter because they couldn't afford to buy food for lunch. They had because of their electrical bills. So we can keep our electrical rates lower and not spend them on things like bike lanes. I look forward to speaking to you in the next hour again. Thank you so much for having me here today, and thanks for all the sponsors.
We have Andrew Jacobite has a green card up.
Thank you, Andrew Jacobite. So to answer the question about food security, Village by the Station had a community garden, and they invited their neighborhood to come out. And so I think neighborhood gardens in seniors' yards is a great opportunity. There can be grants for soil, seed, supplies, but it's a chance for multi-generational interaction. And so a young family can come and they get to interact. It gives some purpose for a senior, a chance to grow some food, and also for children to learn where food comes from and how to grow their own food. Thank you.
Next speaker is Jason Rainan.
For a question? Question?
Oh, sorry. I was busy helping someone.
It's okay, I can make talk, it's all right.
He wasn't even a senior, and I still helped him. Your question is, this is a good one. The new downtown parking meters pose mobility and technological challenges for some residents, sometimes even for me. If you're elected, how will you address those parking meter concerns?
So that's number 9, right? 19. Thank you.
Number 19 in your old list, but we shuffled them all up technologically.
Hello, everyone. Firstly, I just want to thank everybody for making it out today. I also want to thank our hosts. My name is Jason Rainan. I am looking to take over the position of mayor. I was born and raised in Penticton. I'm a devoted husband and a father of 3. I'm heavily invested in the community. I own and operate 2 businesses that I've been operating for over a decade, both Minnemuffler and Beach City CrossFit. I just recently started a grassroots group called Clean Streets to try to initiate some change in town to make sure it feels a little bit safer for some of you folk. I'm running here because we need new leadership in our community. Our current council's approach just isn't working. And the only way to initiate change and real change is to learn the system, to sit in front of you and listen to you guys, listen to the people. And this is what I've chosen to do. I'm a person of action. My promise is to be transparent, hold integrity, and hold responsibility for all of you guys, okay? Now to answer that lovely question. It's short and sweet on this one. the new downtown parking meters pose obviously some issues for a lot of folk. If you don't know how to operate anything like that, it's become more difficult, or if it's miles away from where you actually got your parking, that can be very difficult if you have disability issues. One of the things is I would like to explore the possibility of a prepaid parking program. What this would allow you guys to do is have something similar to a handicap parking system. It would be a sticker on your window, again, a sliding scale for what kind of, what you could afford as for your income for the year, okay? Thanks, guys.
Our next speaker is Campbell Watt. And Campbell, your question is, one of the key features of an age-friendly community is that housing is affordable, appropriately located, well-built, well-designed, accessible, and secure. How would you achieve this?
Thank you. Thank you, and thank you to the Senior Center for having us today. My name is Campbell Watt, and I'm running for a position as councillor. I'm a self-employed mortgage broker. I work in an office on Main Street, very much affected by parking meters. I have a wife in town who works locally, and an 11-year-old daughter. I have parents who are, my dad is just about to turn 80, I've just turned 50, and basically pick a demographic, I represent it. I know many of you in this room from the places I've been previously, the golf course, community events like Ironman and Penticton V's games, or from interactions over the last 8 years that I've been a councillor. I also realized as I walked in today and caught up with Dennis Ebner that I know many of you from my working career as well. I sit with my parents, I sit with you, and I hear seniors speak. What I hear is that safety and housing are major concerns. This is not isolated to just seniors, but it can be exaggerated because of the extremities that seniors feel with income. I know how big that is. I know that there's also issues with service providers and their staffing. We all want healthcare, we all want services, and the issue with them being closed or not being available is because we can't get staff in. So it's important that we as a community, as we as council, make sure that we provide housing that not only for our seniors, but for the staff to come and support those seniors. To answer the question, the key features of age-friendly, affordable housing is not isolated to seniors. Oh, I better use a card. Seniors population and some relief can come in creating larger supply, obviously, but to be specific, the true definition of affordable is we need to look to partner with nonprofit and BC Housing, who has a large granting ability. They have a 10-year plan to spend $7 billion that we can tap into. We can use a covenant or give city land to partner with these and make sure that these properties are well thought out and located in the smartest possible positions near transit, amenities, groceries, and other shops. Thank you for your time, and thank you for being here today.
I see we got a couple of green cards. I'm not sure who was first.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, so we'll give you first shot with your 30 seconds.
Ready, set, go. Parking by donation. We need creative solutions with common sense. I chose donation. We're not going to throw out the meters. We paid a lot for them. We're going to change the signs. You don't want to donate, don't donate. We want to keep downtown vibrant and accessible. Food supply. I can't grow a tomato for less than I buy it in the store now because of water meters. I'll find a way so that you register your garden and you get a discount on your water meter so you can grow a tomato for yourself cheaper than you buy it. Thank you.
Just going to jump right into that question. To make housing affordable, we need to leverage partnerships. On the provincial level, this means looking at community partnership initiatives program. BC Housing partners with community housing providers and the key stakeholders who implement the innovation strategies to create more affordable housing. We need to look at cities like Whistler. They just recently completed a building called the Check Mesh building, had 40 studio apartments, 15 of them were wheelchair accessible. Look to other communities for the answers, guys. Let's not reinvent the wheel. Thank you.
Can I suggest that if somebody gets up with a green card like you guys did, please identify yourselves? Best idea is to say, hi, I'm so-and-so, and launch. Okay. Our next speaker will be Julius Bloomfield. And Julius, your question will be, on September 22nd, the BC Seniors Advocate stated in her press release that 45% of seniors in BC are living on less than minimum wage, and 25% of seniors are living on less than $21,000 a year. If you're elected, what would you do to raise awareness of this and help seniors with their housing challenges? And you've got 2 minutes.
Hi, everybody. Thank you. Julius Bloomfield. I'm running for the Mayor of Penticton, and just like to say thank you. I think this is the first time I've actually had a fee for showing up at a forum, albeit it was a bag of jelly beans, and so I'm not sure that, hoping that that doesn't, it's not a reflection of what you think of my platform, but, and a platform that includes actions on crime and community safety, actions such as implementation of a CAR 40 program, both for the RCMP and for the fire departments to help them do their job properly, getting to the root of the problem. Actions on affordable housing, where we'll utilize city-owned land to create affordable housing solutions for the various members of the community that need it. Actions on making a livable city by focusing on first-class recreational facilities and green space within the city. And actions on a resilient city, where we're focusing on the protection of farmland, food security, and the production of independent power. So how are we going to ensure that we are... The question, how are we going to help the seniors in their housing? Well, seniors housing is, housing in particular is something that obviously I'm very, very close to in my profession. And making sure that, that the seniors are taking, you know, there's a full review of their needs within the housing plan is important in the building of a plan for affordable housing. I'll take that extra time. We have to make sure that seniors are not forgotten in any affordable housing plans and developments that are made in the city. As far as options for housing, we've talked about aging in place, and there needs to be a series of options for seniors housing. Not everybody in this room wants the same thing. And some people want to age in place and other people want to go into a facility that caters to their needs. And I think that if we make sure that both are available, then we'll have workable solutions for everybody in this room. Thank you.
I don't see any outstanding green cards, so we'll carry on. I don't believe Devinder Sandhu is here with us, is he? No, okay. So we'll carry on to the next. Lindsay Hall, you are next. And your question, as you approach the microphone, is, if you are to be a voice for... I beg your pardon? Yeah. Okay. Okay. If you're to be a voice for all citizens, how will you solicit input from seniors who are not connected by technology? And you've got 2 minutes to introduce yourself and answer that.
Got this covered, guys. You heard it here first, okay? Too many of my ideas are stolen constantly. My name is Lindsay Hall. Welcome to the Seniors Drop-In Center, where the Senoras drop their seniors to go shopping. I was born in Winnipeg, Manitoba, in the year the Beatles came to Canada. I grew up in a tough blue-collar neighborhood, became a military officer, fulfilled my engineering degree, was then class secret in North American Air Defense, where I did radar and communications, so I know how they're driving the meters to charge you more for your electricity. I've been saying it for 20 years. To get the feedback, I've read through all 21 questions that we were posed for this event today. And the common thread running through all of them is nobody feels they're heard. That's part of my campaign. I always listen to the community. And anyone visiting my business over the past 21 years will know that my wife constantly tells me I talk too much. Now, how are you going to be heard? Well, with the prison debate, I fought for and secured a referendum whereby everyone voted and we decided to keep the prison out of town, thankfully. But we can't constantly have this type of an event where there's preparation and expense and everything. So how could we do this on an ongoing basis? Does everyone get an electric bill? Most of us get an electric bill. Well, why isn't there a referendum card included with every electric bill that is postage paid, that you submit to the city by post, or some people online? And people at the city, under penalty of perjury, will include your card into the reader, so we have a constant feedback from everyone in the society and their decisions on the things that matter to us as a corporation. Thank you very much.
Okay, Shannon Stewart has a green card up.
Hi, everybody. Shannon Stewart. In my role through the Health Authority, then I've been lucky enough to partner with One Sky Community Resources, and they've had some fantastic initiatives in terms of trying to link populations who may not have access to technology. So they were lucky enough to host a pilot that I was able to support many patients with, providing them with laptops or tablets, and TELUS came to the table with reduced internet rates in order to provide some access to people, particularly being isolated during the pandemic, in order to connect with family and friends. There are some really great grassroots initiatives that are available, and I could really help bring that information to the table because it's something that many of you are not given access or privy to in terms of information in order to better improve quality of life. Thanks very much.
And our next speaker will be Andrew Jacobite. And Andrew, your question will be, there are many housing units in Penticton suitable for seniors and for those young adults interested in moving to Penticton that would help address the housing crisis. But instead, these places are owned by people living outside the Okanagan area and are used solely as short-term vacation rentals. What action will you take, if any, on this matter, the short-term rental thing?
Thank you. Andrew Jacobite, running for council. Perhaps a familiar name or face. Was on council for 10 years, from 2008 to 2018. For the last 4 years being the mayor. Business owner, I have a Groove Yard, which is a record store downtown Penticton, for 32 years. A video production company for 12 years. I've lived in Penticton for 31 years, raised 2 kids. Been actively involved for probably 29 of those years, first with minor hockey on their board, and now still with the provincial board of directors of BC Hockey. I was the president of the Downtown Penticton Association back then, championing the start of the community market and lobbying for 1 hour free parking, and for the last 4 years on the board of the South Okanagan Immigrant Community Society. I'm the organizer of the Real Peach Fest Film Festival and the Canucks Young Stars Classic. My model is basically experienced leadership to rebuild a safe and vibrant Penticton, and that focuses on community safety, fiscal responsibility, and community vibrancy. And during my tenure, I would say I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. And when you look back at 2008, when I started, we were actually going into a recession. We're going to a downturn now. So certainly initiatives that we tried back then, some worked, some didn't. So I'm familiar with that. And of course, I've had 4 years off to reflect on what I could have done differently and what I could bring to a council if given the opportunity. To the question, I think to be effective, we really need significant help from the province to allow some higher tax rate or taxes for people that have more than one vacation rental property. A short-term rental should be really limited to one owner or owner on site to help create more long-term rentals and quiet neighborhoods, and also reduce development cost charge or permit fees for purpose-built long-term rental housing. Andrew Jackowait, thank you.
Thank you. And our next speaker will be Katie O'Kell. And Katie, your question will be, what do you consider is the responsibility of the municipality to make sure that the needs of our aging population are not lost in the many other challenges facing City Council?
Great question. So as promised, I'll introduce myself now. My name is Katie O'Kell. I have lived in Penticton for 11 years. I have been helping my mom run a winery out in Naramata. But on top of that, I'm also a retired scientist. I sit on the board of SOWINS, and I also sit on the board of the Seniors Wellness Society, who actually put this event on today. I have been putting the needs of seniors first for the last year while I've been sitting on the board, and win or lose, I will continue to put your needs first after October 15th. So to answer your question, it's a tricky one because the city is quite limited in what we can and cannot do. But it's important that as a city, we remember to care for our seniors, and this shouldn't be a challenge. The needs of our seniors aren't unique. We have residents with mobility, hearing, and sight problems regardless of their age. This means it's crucial that we prioritize the needs of seniors and others. It's not just one demographic that we're paying attention to. Addressing the unique needs of those who are most vulnerable should always be our priority. As a board member for the Seniors Wellness Society, I've kept seniors in mind for the last year. We should ensure there's a quarterly check-in from organizations that prioritize seniors, such as One Sky, so that we can stay actively apprised of the ever-changing scenarios of the seniors' needs. As City Council, it's our job to listen. Sometimes we can't listen to every single senior, and so leaning on those community support organizations whose job it is to listen to every senior should be something that we should be actively doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be John Vasilaki. And John, your question will be, seniors are one of the most vulnerable segments of the population when it comes to crime in our city. Besides hiring more RCMP officers, what ideas do you have to address this issue? You've got 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. My name is John Vasilaki, and I am the mayor of the city of Penticton. You know, I've seen a lot of people come up here today, and they've given away the whole city. And I understand where they're coming from. I understand their frustrations. I understand your frustrations. I'm a senior myself. I'm 76 years old, and I'm not ashamed to say how old I am. But I'm an energetic person, very aggressive when it comes to your needs and the city's needs at our community. I've lived in Penticton for 66 years. Now, all the freebies that have come to you today, via all the folks that are sitting here, like I said, I understand the frustrations. No one of them came up with a solution. How is all this going to get paid? And it's going to get paid through your taxes, which means that your taxes are going to be increased. I have a solution. The solution I have is that we're hoarding millions upon millions of dollars at City Hall are way over what we need to have in place. That funding should be used to take care of your needs, my needs, and all the citizens of Penticton needs in order for us to have a better life, live in a better community as we deserve to live here. I've lived here for 66 years. I've been a businessman for 55 of those years. I went to school in Vancouver, and that was the only time I've ever gone away from Penticton. I came back because I couldn't stand the coast. I couldn't stand the lifestyle that they have on the Lower Mainland. I came back. Besides that, my high school sweetheart was here, and I had to come back and find her again. You know, so that was one of the main reasons why I came back. Besides, I love this place. I love you all. And this, I am more comfortable in this space than anywhere else in the city. I am even more comfortable here than I am at my office at City Hall, which I've been at for the last 4 years. Now, the question. How can we take care of our problems that we have with crime in the city? Number one, judicial system. Number two, Crown Counsel. They do not have our best interest at heart when it comes to those prolific offenders that get arrested many times over. Some of them, and there's only 13 of them in the city of Penticton, that create all the chaos in our community. Those 13, when they get arrested, Crown Counsel most of the time does not lay charges, even though they're recommended by the RCMP. What we need is our own counsel to represent the city of Penticton and its citizens, so when they go to court, we make sure that justice is served by putting them away so they don't get back on our street and destroy our lifestyle and yours. That's what needs to be done in our community, and that will never happen unless we put that in place. I thank you very much.
Okay, we've got a couple of green cards. We'll start with you, Ryan. Oh, wow.
Hi. With respect to Mr. Vaculak's comment, in 2018, I was a young, ambitious, brand new president of the DPA. And I was very outspoken about our crime, our opiate addiction, and I was laughed at. I was laughed at by the superintendent at that time, a few councillors, and a corporal when I went in front of the agenda of City Council. The Car 40 program is being brought up again. It's a program that takes, instead of having 2 officers in a vehicle, it takes 1 out and adding an interior health nurse for addiction and mental health. In 2018, I asked for this with a forward leaders, and it was denied. And now we're talking about it again. The time is for action, and the time is for leadership. I will be your leader.
Are you guys printing those green cards? Yeah. Like, we only gave out 10 of them, and there's been 400 played.
I don't have any more. I have nothing. And let you check my pockets if you want. I'm just going to be quick here, guys. We talked about cost. Mr. Vasilak talked about cost. Well, one of the things that we haven't been doing and what we should be doing is lobbying with other communities. Groups like Clean Streets can start to put pressure on our provincial government to actually shut the revolving door, okay? Saying it is one thing, but doing it is another, okay? We need to stop it. We need to change it, make it heavier penalties. I'd encourage seniors in this to join watch groups, local watch groups, guys. Every little bit can help. If you guys can point out some things and give that information to the police or the bylaws, then we can at least start to nip it in the butt here too. Thanks. Bye.
Katie, you were next with a green card.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to clear something up. Our council just got back from UBCM, the Union of BC Municipalities. It's the only opportunity as a councillor that you go to get yourself educated and to sit down and have a one-on-one with the ministers that are involved with whatever issue you have in your community. I was very disappointed at this year's UBCM because, as some of the other people have already mentioned here, we have a problem with prolific offenders. But it's not going to get solved by the province. It's not going to get solved by the justice system because it's broken. We are going to have a made in Penticton solution because it has not been for the lack of trying. I sit on the Safety and Security Committee here in town, and I can assure you that we are working night and day to make sure that this community remains safe. So let's just clear that up. You can ask all you want, but if it's under provincial control, there's not a whole lot we can do about it, but we plan on working on it.
And Wade Llewellyn also has a green card.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Wayne Llewellyn is my name, and I think what we need to do is start having an open and honest conversation about the causes of the issues. We shouldn't be afraid to say that it's due to addiction and things like that. I actually filed a Freedom of Information request around the beginning of September to find out what actions were taken, and I asked for all of the communications between the city and the province. If you want a copy of it, let me know. In the last 2 years, since approximately 2019, 2020, there were only 3 letters that were written to the province. 2 of them related to the putting more supportive housing in place than we had. And on top of that, there's nothing wrong with really ramping up the Safety and Security Advisory Committee. We need to start engaging them as much as we possibly can and do things like lobby the province ourselves. We can do this. We can change the public policies at the provincial level, and things are not going the way that they should be. We need to move from an environment of enabling drug use to an environment of prevention, rehabilitation, and restitution too.
Okay, our next speaker will be Nicholas Kruger. Question. Thank you for, I fell asleep temporarily. Don't know what happened. How will you attract talent to Penticton to combat the city's massive and pervasive staffing shortages relating to health care for all city residents, given the fact that we've got a housing crisis?
Hello, my name is Nicholas Kruger. Earlier, can you guys hear me in the back? Sorry. Earlier, my girlfriend got turned around. This place is at full capacity, and then my other mama there, she was watching me through the window like my first day of school. It was. It showed me how important this is, and you guys filling this place up showed me how important this day was, and it changed what I have to say. And so, thank you guys for showing me how important this is. Everything that I learned was from elders where I come from. They're knowledge keepers. It's like reading a book about something you don't know about. You can try and learn it yourself, and it might take 30 years, or you can just read a book in a week and you can learn exactly what you're trying to find out. I feel the same way when it comes to elders. I believe that I could have a conversation with you instead of wasting 30 years, and I can figure out a whole lot of things because I know that you guys have the answers. And so that's what I want to do. That's where my goal is. I want to sit down and talk to the knowledge keepers of Penticton. I want to get these answers. I want to get your voice heard at the table. I know that you guys know the answers and the solutions to these questions. And for me, I don't want to be the one trying to waste 30 years figuring it out for you when I could just sit down and have a conversation with you guys. Thank you.
Katie O'Kell has a green card up.
So I've spent quite some time talking to our local doctors to find a solution to our doctor shortage here. One of the things they suggested is the city owns several houses. They're currently being offered to some staff members to live in for free. We could offer these houses on a one-year basis to new doctors coming into town. Not only does it immediately provide them with a place to live, but it gives them a chance to fall in love with Penticton the same way I did when I moved here temporarily for 9 months 11 years ago. There is precedent for this. We should address those people living in these homes and use them more strategically. Thank you.
Okay. Nick Kruger, were you holding up a green card? Okay.
That was the other Nick. I didn't like what he said. I forgot to answer the question here. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. For sure I obviously will not going back on what I said. I do want to talk to the people and get a better understanding of. I think that there's a lot of answers within the people, but when it comes to this. Sorry, I didn't listen to the question earlier. When it comes to this, I think that we need to start getting providing more housing for the staffing crisis through non-residents of Penticton. I think there's a lot of people that have houses here and they're sitting dormant and they were only renting them out for a portion of the season when there's people out here living on the streets struggling, and workers that need to come to this town and take care of us and in our businesses. And so I think that we're going to look at putting pressure on people who buy houses from out of our community for their own sakes. And we want to put some pressure on them and keep everything within this community, within Penticton, because that's super important to me. So thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Isaac Gilbert. And your question.
Yeah.
You probably want to know the question.
Yes.
I'm not telling.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to take extra time right off the bat. Oh, right. Just being efficient about it.
So, Isaac, if you're elected, how will you make sure that Penticton's age-friendly action plan is considered when making all decisions by council? Oh, yeah, no, that's one. We're good. How would you make sure that the age-friendly action plan is considered when making all decisions by council?
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight, this afternoon. Sorry. My name is Isaac Gilbert. I'm a BC Park Ranger here in the city of Penticton. I am also was formerly the chair of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee for the city of Penticton as well, where I was part of the process of looking at this area, Robinson Park, and management planning it, and to increase the pickleball courts here, the parking spaces, the crosswalks, and that accessibility. And I think that is right there is the cornerstone and the key of how the city of Penticton can really be able to put this seniors action plan together, is by having city committees like a seniors committee, and also using resources and to make sure everything is accessible. And what I mean by that is the city of Penticton has a social development department. And I would really love to see that department robusted and brought more resources to basically reach out to a lot of the community organizations that supply services, especially for seniors here in the community, to ensure that they have funding, that they have resources, and that they have staff And I think that is the best model that we can use to get the seniors action plan off the ground, is not having as much as the elected officials and the city here, but the city to make the decisions, but for the city to support the organizations that have many members probably here in the community that make those decisions on the action plan to start seeing that process going, and then coming to staff and making recommendations to us. Because at the end of the day, for someone like me, I live across the street here at the apartment complex, and I do love talking to my residents who are a lot of our seniors, and my grandmother, who I don't get to see in Ontario. I would really love to make sure that we have a city that everyone has accessible resources, affordable housing, and that you can age in place, that you're able to access everything from an easy walk to public transportation to having those services for you. And so at the end of the day, for me, it's about working very closely with the organizations here, federal, provincial, and our local organizations, the people who are going to make those decisions from the ground up, to talk to us councillors and help us govern to ensure that the seniors action plan is put in place and that everything is accessible, affordable, and sustainable for people to live here in the city of Penticton. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Corey Hounslow. Not here. Well, that's good for us because we're burning through the time. You know these green cards? I thought it was such a brilliant idea, but we didn't put that into the mathematical model. So Wayne Llewellyn, you're up. And your question is, if you're elected, what would you do to increase affordable and accessible transportation options for seniors who no longer drive and who need to travel to Summerland or Kelowna for medical appointments?
Well, that's a tough question. I think that question's actually answered in my full answer here and all of my goals. So after spending 35 years in government, Wayne Llewellyn knows how city halls work. But my greatest leadership lessons came from 20 years in volunteer organizations and being president of an international association with 7,500 members in 26 countries with a full-time staff and a volunteer army of about 150 people. When I decided to run for council, I did the same thing everybody else did and talked to people. And what I did was I found three major themes. I found that people are mostly detached from City Hall that I talked to. Few people could tell how much the city actually spends, and then there's a lot of frustration with a lack of adherence to the official community plan. So that helped inform my three main objectives. The first one, of which is most important, is enhanced public and citizen engagement and semi-annual town halls that I'll hold myself if I have to. Not with staff, but with a council member and in person, so I can, not so you can hear me, but so I can hear what your concerns are and whether or not I'm on track. How many times have you heard the phrase, we need accountability and transparency? Well, what we really need is, how do you actually get that? And the way you get that is, I was actually appalled that about 10 years ago, the city took the finance committee and that had regular citizens on it, and they dumped it. We need to bring that back and get as many eyes as possible looking at the numbers. And for the record, those wooden signs that I have out there, they only cost me about $50. I made them myself for free. So I'll spend your money as responsibly as I spend my own. Then the third question, of course, is important. You need to govern the city according to the official community plan so that we achieve the community's vision, and that's for the community, built by the committee and for the community. I am not a politician. I am a public servant, and I believe we need to put the servant back in public service. I know how to prioritize things, thank you. I know how to make the tough decisions, and I know how to get people involved. With your vote, it'll be an absolute honor to serve on City Council for the next 4 years.
Okay, thank you. That concludes, no other green cards held up? Good, okay. Because we need to take a 5-minute break. I'm sure you would all agree with me on that. Water is over there. Washrooms are out here. But let's just really keep it to 5 minutes because we do want to have another round of questions and we want to be out by 3. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Nils, let's just start off by doing a little station identification. You're listening to CFUZ 92.9 FM in Penticton, British Columbia, or online at cfuz.ca. And we are broadcasting from the Penticton Seniors Drop-In Center live, where we're covering we're providing a feed for the forum that's happening here for your municipal election candidates, mayoral and councillor.
Yes, it's been very interesting so far.
It has. I feel like we're learning a bit more. I think there's this new sort of twist from the previous forum where folks have an opportunity to sort of insert a comment or speak to a comment that someone else has brought up during their time.
Yes, it's this green card process that they're using where other participants can, participants, is that the right word?
Candidates, maybe?
Let's just go with candidates, where, yes, they can raise a green card and answer or provide some more information or rebut somebody else's information or just expand on points that they were making earlier. I've honestly never seen that process before.
I have seen it, and I think it's an effective one. I feel, however, that if it was up to me, I probably would be not having used them all in the first half of the debate here, because I think that some people might be jumping the gun and just inserting sort of their views in the vicinity of views that have been spoken, rather than actually providing a rebuttal. But all in all, though, I feel like we've heard a lot of interesting views, and I think a little more information as to what the candidates are planning in this forum than we have in the previous one, I believe.
I do agree that there was some common themes. Some of the candidates that came up, it's like, oh, I've heard this, or they are at least a few of them refined the points that they were making. But it's interesting so far.
Gone are the days when candidates were expected to answer off the cuff, because the presumption would be that they had had the preparation in mind to be able to answer a question. Nowadays, all the questions are provided in advance, and candidates have all seemed to have prepared answers in advance and have them on a piece of paper to use, which I think is fine, because then maybe it helps them have some clarity in their response to a question or topic.
I totally agree. Also, I guess keeping in mind that, how do I frame this? You can't necessarily be expected to answer all of those questions properly without doing some research. So in the roles that these people will be taking on, right, when those questions are posed to them in that environment, they're going to they're granted and provided the time to go do the research, talk to the people, gather what they need to come back with an educated answer.
Absolutely. I guess all I was saying was that if, and maybe it's a statement as to why there are 21 candidates sitting here in front of us.
Yeah.
But my presumption is that if you're going to put your name forward to lead the city in this capacity for 4 years, I would expect that you would already have been doing your research and preparing yourself for 1, maybe 2 years, serving on a committee, becoming intimately involved with how municipal government works, and educating yourself individually on your own time on the issues by talking to people in various areas. Now, I know that a lot of folks who've spoken tonight have mentioned, or this afternoon have mentioned, that they've spent some time here in the Penticton Seniors Drop-In Center, and I think that's great, because I know that this facility in particular is used quite a lot by the let's just say large percentage of residents in Penticton who are senior citizens.
Yep. I've just through other engagements, I've been in this facility a lot and seen a lot of people come through here. It's very popular, a very popular destination.
And it's interesting. I think the questions that have been posed so far today are very well thought out. And I think that I don't know necessarily that a lot of the candidates have really framed their answer specifically in terms of how seniors are relevant in those questions that have been asked. it would be nice to hear more, I think. Of course, these candidates, this is just one facet, and I think one of the candidates said, her opinion was that you can't just single out an age demographic. Everybody has, the wider population are affected by a lot of the things that are being asked about here, not just seniors. And I thought that was a very surprising answer myself in this room. But it's true, and I kind of agree with the sentiment.
Yeah. In all honesty, all the positions on, the councillors or the mayor, catering is maybe not the right word, but really all the solutions are going to apply to the entire populace, right? So I agree that, it's the questions are being focused on this one group, and I understand that. But really, the solutions that they bring to the table are going to be all-encompassing. It's going to affect many, many groups of people.
It's very true, and then not only that, but the solutions some of the solutions that are being put forward. It makes me wonder a little bit about the logistics behind implementing a lot of the solutions. I think it's great that a lot of ideas are being put on the table. It's putting those ideas into action that will be the challenging part, I think, for a lot of people, especially when they don't maybe have a lot of experience in municipal government.
Yep. It looks like they're...
I think they're trying to corral the troops, but the troops, I think we're going to get started here. So let's get back to it. You're listening to CFUZ 92.9 FM in Penticton. We are broadcasting the Seniors Drop-In Center Forum on seniors issues for municipal electoral candidates.
I'm not sure whether that was a good or a bad idea. Only, as far as I know, just over there. Are they out? Oh. Well, there should be a bottle of water by the foot of your chair. Yeah, everybody's got a bottle of water. Okay, thanks everybody. We're going to get started now real quick with round 2. Okay. I've had several people, 3 or 4 people come up and ask me to remind all candidates to please say your name when you stand up. Okay, so we got to remind people who you are. Okay, let's get... Oh yeah, and remember, on this round, it's 1 minute. And I hope you've all burned off all your green cards. Oh no, wait a minute. You're printing those. Who is selling these people green cards? This is not good. This is no good. Okay, all right, let's get to it. Let's start right now. Yeah, at 40 seconds. All right. All right. Tina is really going to lean on that cowbell. So we got half an hour or less, so let's rock on. Helena Conants, come on up and answer a question. And the question will be, the washrooms, as well as accessible washrooms, the World Health Organization recommends an age-friendly community include prompt, considerate snow removal for seniors, accessible benches on paths and sidewalks and trails, and protection from sun and rain. How would you make this a reality? 1 minute.
Thank you, everyone. I'm Helena Conans. I'm running for City Council. Washrooms do need to be accessible, and too many Penticton washrooms are closed, especially on the off-season. It's terrible if we want to go for walks in the park. I feel it's horrible. So we need to change that immediately. We need to have sidewalks cleared before bike lanes. And we need to make sure that our bus stops are covered, and we need to not buy the seats from BC Transit. They're too expensive. We can buy from a locally made builder to build our bus stops. They all should be covered, so people will want to use them more, especially in the winter. I also want to say that we need to make sure that people feel safe taking the bus, safe using the washrooms. It's pretty scary sometimes going into the public washrooms these days. So we need to make sure we address the crime. And I have a green card, so I'd like to expand on that. I do have some ideas, and it really upsets me when I hear, especially current councillors or mayors, saying there is nothing we can do. I have a comprehensive plan that I'd like to look at crime, and one of those things, the first part of that, is to look at how many people are being released from the Okanagan Correctional Center and being dropped off into the streets of Penticton. We were promised when the correctional center was built, Penticton was promised that they would not be dropping off those former inmates into our city. Originally, they were brought to the Greyhound station. The Greyhound station is now closed. So these people are trapped in Penticton. So as a council, we need to find out how many people are being dropped here, and then we can approach the province to go back to the province and make sure that they follow through with their promises with the correctional center. That's the first part of my plan. Thank you.
So remember, with the green cards, you got 3. Not saying you did this, Helena, but if you've used your 3, that's it. You can't recycle them, okay? Okay. All right, next speaker, Jason Rainan. And Jason, check your green cards at the door. If you're elected, how will you encourage staff and colleagues on council to carry out Penticton's age-friendly action plan?
Hi, everyone. Again, Jason. I would propose a protocol for city staff that would direct them to highlight the key points in the age-friendly action plan on all proposals. I believe it would be beneficial to have an attachment to all proposals that include checking off the key points of the age-friendly action plan. I would also encourage city staff to sit in on meetings that we schedule with the seniors like this, so we can better understand the concerns and deepen our connection with the senior population. All under a minute.
And I believe you're running for mayor, are you not? Yes, I am. Jason Rainan, running for mayor. Okay, that's it. Good. Just to make sure everybody knows who you are and what you're doing here. I am so-and-so. I'm running for X. Okay, Shannon Stewart, you're next. And your question is, how will you become well-informed on the many complexities associated with the housing crisis, particularly in light of the low income of many Penticton seniors?
Shannon Stewart, running for City Council. I have access to phenomenally accurate and up-to-date information streams through many of my professional associations, and I stay up to date by monitoring all the news platforms as well. I always have a broad lens when learning new information to incorporate it into my schema regarding possible impacts on the vulnerable population. So what that means in layman's terms is I'm constantly gathering information, constantly researching, and looking for a way to apply it to the population that I am invested in trying to support and serve well. That means you guys. I am a very active and energetic advocate for the people of Penticton, all levels of population, and our fortune is that we have a very large senior population here, and that requires a lot of dedication and awareness in terms of sharing the information with you. Thanks so much.
Thank you. John Vasilaki, you're next. And your question is, one of the key features of an age-friendly community is that public transportation is accessible, affordable, and convenient. Public transportation. How would you ensure this?
Thank you very much. Again, I am the mayor of the city of Penticton, and I've looked after seniors for many, many years, not just when I got on city council, but even previously. Many of you have eaten in one of my restaurants, and many of you have partied in my nightclub. So I know you well. I know what you need when it comes to transportation. I believe that we need more routes, especially routes that run, especially nearby here, which I believe there is one here, but all the other streets that we have seniors housing and where seniors live in. And I'm sorry I don't have any more green cards, so I can't continue. But like I said earlier, the funding that we still have at the city of Penticton, which is a lot more than what we require to keep the city going, should be used for ways to make your life better, whether it's transportation, food, and all the other things that you need in your life to live better. Thank you very much. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you. Frank Rieger, you're next. And your question, Frank, is, what struck you most profoundly in the information document that we sent out, and why?
Thank you. Name Frank Rieger. I'm running for re-election to City Council. That document had really a lot of great information. We already knew before we saw it that there's a lot of more seniors in here than in any other community in the province. So that wasn't new information. One of the items I kind of locked in on, though, was discussions around housing affordability, really for the rental part of the affordability. People have had a program in the province called the SAFER program, so a program designed to try and keep that your rent costs would be as little as 30% of your income level. And certainly the information coming from the BC Seniors Advocate coming forward with information that we're around more like 50 or 60%, and they talked examples in Vancouver of as high as 80%. So the provincial funding and that program and the ability of people to afford rental housing certainly exceeded what I thought was happening in that area. Frank Rieger, running for City Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Larry Schwarzenberger, you're next. Your question. Given the complexity of housing needs and the healthcare trend that supports people at home versus building new care facilities, how can the city encourage construction of housing that is specially designed to allow people to safely age in place?
Thank you for the question. Larry Schwarzenberger, running for City Council. Affordable housing is an issue that needs to be built so people can age at home. We need to look at giving a DCC reduction for the type of housing that we need, that we want and need for seniors, and develop a criteria for what kind of housing that is and where it should be placed. People staying at home and aging in place require that kind of help, I believe, and also keeping the short-term housing rentals to a maximum, and perhaps even making it that you can't get a license unless you're a resident of Penticton, may free up some housing that could be used for seniors. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Wayne Llewellyn, you're next. And your question is, what do you think is the biggest misconception about seniors, and what would you do if you're on council to change that misconception?
So Wayne Llewellyn, I'm the guy with all the L's in the name. Okay, and just so you know, on a personal note, I've been married for 46 years. I'm a grandfather of 3, and there we go. I really don't think there is just one misconception. There's probably another, or like a number of them. For example, that older adults can't learn new things. Other things are like old people should just take it easy and avoid exercise, but we all know that that isn't true. Okay, we all learn something new every day, and we're as interested in the outside world as anyone else and want to enjoy a larger social circle and a larger social network. So what we need to do is start to bring everyone into the conversation as much as we possibly can, so we can understand what each other's point of view actually is. We don't need to agree on everything, but we should at least hear each other out. And, older adults, they're really adept at making decisions. They might appear to have difficulty because they're bringing in their accrued wisdom based on a lifetime of experience and education. And I'm done. Thank you again. Wayne Llewellyn.
Thank you. Katie Robinson, you're next. And your question is, what did you do to inform yourself about seniors' issues for this upcoming election?
My name is Katie Robinson, and I'm running for re-election for council. That is number 21, correct? Yes. I've been advocating for seniors since before I first held office in 1990. I participated in the Royal Commission on Health regarding the lack of planning for seniors, and that given that the segment of population that we're talking about, the aging population, is growing faster than any other segment of population that we have now. So the planning is critical, and unfortunately we're falling behind in it. So we need to take some serious steps getting back on there, and I'm hoping that on October 15th you will vote for positive experience. Katie Robinson, thank you.
Thank you. Andrew Jacobite had a green card.
Actually, it's not a rebuttal. I want to address a question that hasn't been talked about today, number 16. 84% of low-income seniors report running out of money, some of the time buying food. What creative ideas do you have to reduce financial pressures of this segment of the population? My concept is creating a Hire a Senior program. Many businesses are looking for help, so 4 to 6 hours a day, once or twice a week, or work with a church or other organization to have a different senior come each day. This is going to help the economy, give seniors some social interaction, keep their brain sharp, and obviously it's going to help provide some pocket money for them to bridge the gap or to enjoy life a bit more. Thank you.
Thank you. Ryan Graham, you're next. And your question is, the BC Seniors Advocate just released a report indicating there was a 78% increase in the use of food banks by seniors in BC in the last 5 years. If you're elected, what will you do to address food security for seniors here in Penticton?
Hi, everyone. Again, Ryan Graham, and I'm running for Hopeful Council. This is a very simple one. No senior should ever go without food. Currently, we have a soupeteria downtown that caters as a fundamental need in this community, but most of the people that are using that are not from this community. It is time we reinvest in our assets. This is an asset built in 2011 and has seen no love ever since. There's an industrial kitchen right here to the left of me. Why do we not use it? Why do we not build around this facility? We need to get forward thinking, but more importantly, the stress is we need to be heard. And when I sat and listened, it was very clear that we've got assets, it's time to reinvest, but more importantly, it's time to reallocate funds that we're using in this community, like subsidizing the Penticton Vs. We can take some money in those big bank accounts like our mayor's talking about, and we can reinvest it into you. Thank you.
Katie O'Kell has her last green card.
So I'm Katie O'Kell. I want to address food security. It's something very important to me. One of the things we haven't talked about is grocery store waste. Cities all around the world have started mandating that grocery stores, instead of throwing out food that's near or at its expiration date, they actually donate them to places in need that need them. This is a no-brainer for me. Not only are we reducing our waste and being environmentally sustainable, but we're making sure that food is actually going towards people in their mouths and in their bellies to feed them instead of going to the garbage. Thank you very much.
Isaac Gilbert, you're next. And your question is, the new downtown parking meters pose mobility and technological challenges for a lot of residents. If you're elected, how would you address that concern?
Thank you very much. So my name's Isaac Gilbert, running for City Council. I think really what it comes down to as the City of Penticton is having a robust public transportation plan and addressing a lot of these concerns when we're implementing new programs. It's nice to see. It would be better to see the city going into the community and having that consultation for it to ensure that we're making sure that everything is accessible. So when it comes to parking down in the downtown area, one of the things that I would really like to focus on is to ensure, one, it's accessible for everyone here, but also, two, that we robust our public transportation, make it more efficient, make it more convenient, and make it more affordable for people to be able to get around town through buses. My friend Bridget, I get to see a lot of the time on weekends going over to the farmer's market when she's waiting for the bus on Warren and Atkinson there, and I love chatting with her when I'm on my way to work. And I think that's the biggest thing that we need to see when we have that public transportation plans to make it accessible. And I agree with some of the people that have come up here talking about, looking at a monthly plan for people to be able to pay for it as well, and taking that technological challenge out of the way. I think really what I'm trying to get at is at the end of the day, we really need to consult with people to make it accessible to people and to make it affordable. Really, what can we do as a city? Can we change what we have down there? And I believe that we can change it to make it accessible. It shouldn't be just this one-way street that we as council go down, that once we put the parking meters in, that's it, and that's how we go. It's about always ensuring that we're talking to the public and that we can change the design of things and bring in better services for people as well to ensure that they feel that they can access everything in our city, especially our downtown core, because really at the end of the day, I really want to see downtown to be vibrant. I want to see people moving around downtown. And I think that will address a lot of our concerns like crime, because it puts more eyes on the street and makes it a great place to be in. Thank you.
James Miller has a green card.
Hi, I'm James Miller, and I'm running for cover. I believe that, I think the downtown, it was ill-conceived. I like the old meter heads. I sit at Nanaimo Square, and I watch people playing hide-and-go-seek to find the boxes. Yes, they can download an app. I don't like downloading tons of apps. You go to Alvecchio's for a sandwich, great deal, $7 or whatever. Well, now all of a sudden it's $9. This is coming out after COVID and when downtown businesses are struggling. It was poorly conceived. It should be by the hour. With that said, it's still superior to Interior Health's parking system.
Thank you, James. Campbell Watt, you're next. And your question is, one of the key features of an age-friendly community is affordable housing that's appropriately located and well-designed and secure. How would you achieve this?
I think this was the question I had first.
Oh, you must be really good at it by now.
What I said.
Okay, we can try another one. The Seniors Advocate stated in her press release that 45% of seniors here are living on less than minimum wage, and 25% of seniors live on less than $21,000 a year. If you're elected, what would you do to raise awareness about this and help seniors with their housing challenges? You can't get away from housing.
I live it. To answer the question, let me start with saying thank you to Mr. Nicholson for all the time he's dedicated today and the job he's done. Awareness comes from messaging and education. It falls on the city. In fact, I would like to see a designated staff role at City Hall that's main focus is seniors, senior activities, and senior living. This is something done in other communities. There's no reason we can't do it here. Thanks, Doug. As for assistant housing, these are something that we already have got in our books. We need to look at rezoning. We need to look at adding staff housing. We need to look at partnering with nonprofits and making sure that we connect with BC Housing and their grant money to put housing in place and do it as quickly as we can. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Owen Hayward, you're next, and I'll give you the question I tried on Campbell Watt. One of the features of an age-friendly community is affordable, well-designed, appropriate housing. How would you achieve it?
Owen Hayward, When I was 6 years old, my grandfather looked at me and said, "You'll never be rich. You'll always be Owen." And a lifetime in pursuit of bad puns begun. Listen, all these, somebody told me I was too loud. All these issues are related. We need common sense. We need common courtesy. We need communication. We need collaboration. We need compromise. I'm going to give you an OCP and zoning that makes sense, so council doesn't waste their time on every damn development that comes up on do we vary or not. If it makes sense, we just approve if it's within the zoning. I will make initiatives and incentives to give preference for locals, local developers, small businesses, nonprofits, local seniors. It's quite simple. The mayor talked about, or Llewellyn talked about how government is run. I'm tired of the way government is run. I want it run properly and prudently. Thank you.
Okay, Nicholas Kruger, you are next, and your question is, if you are to be a voice for all citizens, how will you get input from seniors who aren't connected by technology?
Okay, so I'm glad you asked this question because obviously I've gotten a lot of feedback from some of the community, from the seniors that I didn't write into the newspaper because I had an issue with how they communicate and how they were getting to choose the questions. I wanted to speak directly to people, and so obviously I think there's better ways for us to communicate directly and not have a third party interfere with that. I think that we're going to try and look at something like mail and have a liaison at the city council level speaking directly to the general public and getting your voices heard directly and not people choosing in between the people and the council what is being told to one another. We want to speak directly to you, and so I think that's the direction that I would go towards. Thank you.
Okay. Andrew Jacobite has a green card, and then it's James Miller.
Thank you, Andrew Jacobite. Just quickly, I think one of the nice things here was I used to go, I wish I would have went more often, was Thursdays lunch here, and it was, whatever it was, $7 for lunch. But an opportunity to just sit with Tuesdays, whatever it was, Tuesday or Thursday. But at least it was an opportunity to sit and hear and talk to you guys. I think having some sort of roundtable with your organization, your group here is great, and having a yearly presentations to council, but I think also having paper copies of initiatives that are going out to shape your city, Penticton, which is an online portal to go, and not many people like to do that. So now if you have a written report plus a paper copy for you to write down your ideas, what you like or you don't like, is a great way of getting input back to council and staff. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. James Miller, you're next. And your second question is, there are many housing units in Penticton suitable for seniors or people interested in moving here who aren't even seniors, but instead they're owned by outsiders and used as short-term vacation rentals. What action would you take on the short-term rental situation?
I'm James Miller, council candidate. Thanks, Bob. I'm so glad I drew that question. This came before council a couple months ago, and it was Miller who said, we have to limit vacation rentals to primary residents only. And then this way, this will open up the housing market. Airbnb is unfair to our hoteliers who pay big tax dough and supply a lot of employment. Airbnbs, a lot of people don't like living beside Club Med in a residential area with nude people running around and partying at 3 in the morning. And they're running a business, but if it's primary residence only, that will open up the market, and it will also allow some people to make a few extra bucks. I'm fine with that. And if they're home, chances are there's not going to be a lot of stupidity going on because that's their primary residence. We have to follow Summerland and bring in a limit of the Airbnbs. Thank you.
James, can you tell me the address of the place where the nude people are? Just after. You can tell me after. Okay.
But okay.
Thank you. All right. Katie Robinson somehow found another green card. I don't know where. My last one. Hope so.
I just thought since James opened the door that I would add a little bit to it. One of the main, as I see it, one of the major contributing factors to the crisis that we're seeing right now with the Airbnbs and short-term vacation rentals is coming from the Landlord Tenancy Act, which is currently so restrictive in favor of the tenants that the landlords no longer wish to rent to long-term because of the inability to evict problem tenants. So it's become more preferable to do short terms. But Councillor Miller and I did just recently bring that to the council table, and we're working on it on your behalf.
Thank you. And now Andrew Jacobite, you're next. And your question is, what do you think is the responsibility of the city to ensure that the needs of our aging population aren't lost in the many other challenges council faces?
Thank you. That's Andrew Jacobite running for City Council. It's a lot more complicated than it sounds. I think council is about balance and finding that and realizing the importance of the age-friendly action plan and actually making that one of their priorities. So when you have your yearly annual priority session, that is actually one of those priorities that gets embedded into staff reports, into the philosophy and foundational pillars of how you move forward as a community. So I think, and it's up to council, each one of us can wave that flag, but unless 4 or more of them council decide that this is going to be age-friendly action plan is one of those key priorities, that's what's going to need to happen for it to be a real priority and for the benefit that those who are sitting in this room will reap from. Thank you.
Thank you. Katie O'Kell, you're next, and your question is, seniors are one of the most vulnerable segments of the population when it comes to crime. So besides hiring more RCMP officers, what ideas do you have to address the crime issue in Penticton?
Ooh, everyone loves talking about crime. Unfortunately, we can't tell the RCMP how to do their jobs. It would be great to say, hey, cops, can you focus on this today and that tomorrow? But we don't have that jurisdiction. However, if we foster a good relationship with them, we can ask them to focus on issues that are important to us. It's about working together with organizations such as the RCMP to make sure that we're getting things done the way we need them to be done. It's a hot topic right now in both Penticton and throughout the province. There seems to be a core group of prolific offenders that are committing crimes over and over and over and over again with very little punishment. I think something that we really need to focus on as a city is how to deal with our prolific offenders. It's disheartening to hear from city councillors that the province isn't coming in to help. But one of the great things that I've learned as a millennial is not to take no for an answer. Let's try and talk to our BC judges and make sure they know how important this is to us. We can work with other cities to make our voices louder when we come together and force them to listen and do something about our prolific offenders. I'm Katie O'Kell, and I would really appreciate your vote of confidence. Thank you.
Amelia Boltby has a green card, and then Julius Bloomfield.
Thank you very much. Amelia Boltby, running for City Council. I thought that my friend Katie O'Kell answered that question very well, but there are a few things I want to add because dealing with prolific offenders is one of the main planks of my platform. I was disturbed earlier in the debate hearing the sentiment that there's a breakdown in the relationship with the province. In order for us to successfully deal with the crime that we have in our city, we can't simply talk to judges, we have to lobby the provincial government. The Butler report just came out, and we should follow those recommendations as well for prolific offenders. Thank you.
Thank you. And now Julius Bloomfield. The question for you, Julius, is how do you attract talent to Penticton to combat the city's massive, pervasive staffing shortages in healthcare to care for all city residents, given the fact that we've got a housing crisis? How do you get the healthcare people in?
Thank you, Julius Bloomfield, currently on City Council and running for the mayor, or the position of mayor, I should say. I'd just like to point out that, we've heard a lot of people talking about a lot of things that they would do. I just want to point out some of the things that I have done. When we first got elected in 2018, we had a good look, or I had a good look at how the city management structure was formed. And I noticed that we have, a very robust engineering department that deals with all the public works, roads, the water lines, etc. We have accountants that look after all of the accounting and the budget, etc. We have planners that look after all the planning department and the planning decisions. And we didn't have anybody to look after the people. So I made a motion to council to appoint a social development manager. And that was passed and that was started, and that social development department is now part of the city. And that department is what answers a lot of the questions and the concerns that we're hearing today. Now, can it be improved? Can it be built on? Yes, it can. I think we have a solid base for that to be built on. And I think that that is the department where we could see a seniors advocate position within the city staff. As far as attracting talent to the city, I think that I have a plan for doing a grant system for first-time home buyers, and that come into that buy new property into the city, and I can't get into the details of that in the next 10 seconds, but it is on my website, and I would suggest that we could extend that grant system to incoming healthcare workers as part of a total package for attracting healthcare workers into Penticton. Thank you.
Thank you. Amelia Boltby. Everybody, I'm sorry, we are going a couple of minutes overtime, but I thought we've just got a couple of more candidates to hear from, so with your indulgence, we'll carry on for another 5 minutes or so, and then I'll let you go. All right, so Amelia Boltby, your question is, the BC Seniors Advocate just released statistics indicating that 84% of low-income seniors report running out of money to buy food some of the time. What creative ideas do you have to reduce the financial pressures on seniors?
My name is Amelia Boltby. I'm running for council. Thank you for the question. First of all, anything we can do to keep costs low for seniors is going to be very important. Living on a fixed income, as many of our seniors do, we've talked tonight about how there's a severe financial strain and vulnerability there. So whenever City Hall is making decisions, I believe they should make it with seniors in mind. We also have a fantastic program here in Penticton that I would love to see expanded called Meals on Wheels. Right now, they're doing a great job, but there's a lot of room for them to expand. And also, other municipalities have created seniors-only food banks, which is something I would also advocate for. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, Lindsay Hall. And Lindsay, your question is, if you're elected, how would you ensure that Penticton's age-friendly action plan is considered when council makes decisions?
Oh, excellent question. Well, guys, city councilors are not demigods, and that's a trend that we've got to stop. So with a ballot in each and every electric bill, and only in the electric bills, you'll have a consistent say on how things are run in the city. To deal with the matter, councilors must consider what their citizens want, not to decide from their own agenda. I don't run with an agenda. My only agenda is to help keep this city livable. My children and my grandchildren live here. And if we have to leave this community, that'd be where else will we go? I'm so much like my Norwegian grandfather. He would stand for what was right in civic politics in his area. I remember the farm, when the car rolled onto the property, 6 men trying to intimidate him into their point of view. Well, I'm a chip off the old block. Those 6 men were happy to get off that farm, and that's where I stand, in your favor. Thank you.
Okay, that was the last speaker, but James Miller somehow found another green card.
Hi, the present council, incumbents are always going to have an X on their back, and I understand that, but I just want to give you something to think about. I'm the new guy. I've been there 15 months. I came in, there was a lot of razzmatazz about me getting elected, and Mayor and the other 5 members of council showed incredible support and kindness to me, and I appreciate that. And one thing that I always try, I'm not the smartest or the brightest or whatever, but I try to be kind to people, and I appreciate the support that they showed. I think overall they've done a very admirable job, and can this council do a better job? Sure we can. We can always do better. You can always play a better round of golf. But I knew who I was running with when I went in the by-election. If I didn't think they were competent, I wouldn't have put my name in there. And I welcome and I look forward to seeing at least 2 new people, if not 3 or whatever. I can work with anyone. Ryan Graham mentioned Bruce Johnson. He's looking down because I know that he would be so thrilled that Ryan and Jason and Nick and Amelia, our former Penn High Maggie graduates, are running for council. He'd be thrilled. My name's Miller. Give me a call. I do return my calls. Thank you. Good night.
Owen Hayward, Owen. Common Sense Solutions. I live below Sendero Canyon. Lawrence Avenue feeds it. It has an S-turn with a crosswalk that goes to Columbia Elementary. Lawrence Avenue is now an urban speedway. I talked to our mayor. I said, put a speed bump in and slow these people down so nobody gets killed. Elect me mayor, I'll put speed bumps around all the elementary schools. I don't need engineers. I don't need studies. He said he'd talk to the engineers. He says we got the money. Let's make Penticton safe. Thank you.
And thank you all to all the candidates for coming today, to you for your patience. I'm sorry we had to go a little bit over time. I want to thank Andrew Jacobite for advising me that the advanced polls, in case you don't know, this Wednesday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the Convention Center. You can vote in advance on Saturday, this weekend, from 8 a.m. till 8 p.m., also at the Convention Center, and again the following Thursday from 8 to 8. So tons of opportunities to vote in advance. General voting is the 15th. That's Saturday. You can vote here and at the Convention Center. So main thing, get out and vote. Thank you very much, everybody. And thanks to the organizers for a great job.
All right, there goes another forum. Nils, I just want to say you are listening and tuned in to Peach City Community Radio, 92.9 FM in Penticton, or online at cfuz.ca. Thank you very much. Nils, what was your take on final analysis of that?
More to digest, more to think about. Oh my.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot to think about. There are a lot of candidates, and it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out. Remember, Bob reminded us advanced polls happen, I think, on Wednesday and on this Saturday, and then Election Day is the 15th. We want to once again remind you that Peach City Radio has provided this broadcast for you if you are unable to make this forum, and to other forums as well. Look for us this evening, where we will be broadcasting the RDOS Area E.
I think so.
Area E, the Armada. We'll be broadcasting live from Armada this evening starting at 7 p.m. And we will also be broadcasting live from the Lakeside Resort, on Wednesday, October 5th, for the Home Builders Association forum that's happening there in the evening. Details are on our website, cfuz.ca. If you think this is an important service in the community to help you educate yourself on how you would like to vote, please consider donating to CFUZ. We are a 100% volunteer-run radio station, and you can donate online at cfuz.ca, or you can use that website, cfuz.ca, to find out how to get in touch with us and make a donation if donating online is not something that you are comfortable in doing.
I wish I had more to add.
Thank you very much for listening, and we will shortly return you to regularly scheduled programming.